proceed with the bond sale. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, council take action to approve a notice of sale resolution and bond ordinance for water and sewer revenue bonds in the amount not to exceed $2,770,000.
Is there support?
I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Gustad, support by Mayor Pro Tem Smith to approve the notice of sale resolution by ordinance. Is there any discussion on this?
Yes, I'd just like to say, I think it's unfortunate that we put some major projects that have now become critical at increased cost. Anytime we borrow money, we end up losing. We've got $110,000 or $116,000 in cost to issue the bond plus the interest. It's sort of a disadvantage to the government. And I hope, we can look at some better planning in the future to avoid this. From what I see, that pushes us to about $28 million in long-term debt and installment payments. That's a lot of debt.
Again, this is being paid out of the water and sewer. The rates were adjusted to account for this bond. And again, some of the part of the history of where we are is a lot of changes in our usage, which dropped a lot of the revenue, which could not support these type of projects in the last few years. That's why we had the rate study done. This is why we had increased the rates so we could fund these projects that needed to be done. We don't anticipate any further increase other than what's been outlined before. As I said, the cost for these bonds have been included in that rate structure that we've implemented.
I understand it.
The other benefits of the structure is it helps fund the depreciating assets, and we wouldn't have to hopefully do this type of bond in the future. So that's another benefit of the new rate structure. So again, I know it's a situation where we kicked the can down the road for a while, but a couple of these projects are in a critical mode, and without funding it today, or with the approval of this bond ordinance, we're going to double the cost of those, which would far exceed what the financing and the interest rates are going to be. So we're just in that very awkward and precarious spot that those projects can no longer be overlooked or pushed down on another budget. So here's where it's at.
Well, I find to support the bond only because I think we're between a rock and a hard place. I guess is the best. We need to do this. If we don't have better infrastructure, we don't have a say. We need to take care of our infrastructure. It disappoints me that we knew about these things for quite a while. We haven't really, in my opinion, made a real big initiative to make plans. In the future, too, we also have to plan a retention pond. That could be anywhere from 200,000 to 2 million. Who knows? Because we don't know what capacity we have to, or how big they have to be. So there's more of that coming.
As Councilmember Gustad pointed out, the rate structure that we have in place will hopefully start funding and start reserving some of this money for projects that we need going down the road.
What happens to any leftover funds from the $2,770,000? Where does that go?
Assuming there are any leftover funds, those bond proceeds have to be spent within 3 years, and they can be used for other capital projects that the water and sewer utility might need.
So specifically for the water and sewer?
Correct.
Nothing else?
Nothing else.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Can you please take the roll?
Councilmember Gustad?
Yes.
Councilmember Whitliff?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Bixby?
No.
Councilmember Zelinski?
Yes.
And Mayor Kenny?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Moving on to notices, communications, and announcements. Tonight we're going to have a presentation on the first quarter financial report by Finance Director Ed Bradford.
Mayor Kenny, council members, I put a written financial report in your packet as well as a written investment report. I think it's fairly self-explanatory. I'd be happy to answer any questions on it. I would like to make a few comments. Regarding our investment report, the markets have been pretty choppy the first half of this year, and our investment earnings are pretty flat, particularly in the oil and gas fund. We're hoping that the second half of the year will continue to have the positive trends that we've had over the last 5 or 6, but it's not unusual for markets to seesaw back and forth for a period of time, so hopefully we'll see some improvement there. Interest rates are still expected to be low, although the Fed has given some signs that they're going to start to unwind some of their stimulus and possibly start to raise rates, but a lot of that's going to depend on if the economy stays strong. I'm assuming if they see some soft spots that they'll probably put the brakes on raising those rates. On the financial report, things are actually tracking pretty well according to budget across almost all of the city funds. I think we're going to have pretty much on target with our budget. The winter is helping a lot in terms of how much fuel we're using and how much overtime, particularly in the public works this year. We still have 6 weeks of winter because of the groundhog the other day, but hopefully it will definitely be below where we were last year. And the price of fuel has come down, as you all know, when you fill up your cars at the pump. But again, there's really nothing that's extraordinary in the financial statements this year. I'm real pleased with the way it's tracking on the budget. And with that, I would take any questions that you might have.
Do we have a rough idea of what we are down as far as savings this year due to less plowing?
I haven't put a number to that calculation. I can do some rough calculations and email the council, but I haven't done that yet. It's going to be sizable. We hardly had any snow plowing at all in December. In November, we obviously had some. And in January, hasn't been all that brutal. So we're already into February. The price of gas, we're going to save just on the dollars probably at least 30% for the whole year, because the price hasn't been low for the whole fiscal year. And then with volume on top of that, that'll help as well. I'll do a little bit more in the third quarter when we do that financial report, and then during the budgeting process, we'll talk about that a little bit as well. Any other questions? Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to Department of Public Services. At this time, Mr. Todd Harlan, report activities.
Good evening, Mayor Kenny, council members. Quick overview of our company. We currently, in our operations in Manistee County, we employ 53 full-time employees. We operate 24 routes on a daily basis. As you know, we have our landfill facility here in Manistee County. We accept material from 6 counties. 70% of the material we do accept is from Manistee County, and 20% is from Mason County. The remaining 10% is from Wexford, Benzie, Lake, and Grand Traverse counties. The landfill has 50 years of life at the current intake and the density that we place the waste into the waste column. So we've got many years of life to service the city of Manistee. As it relates to our current contract, we entered a contract in July of 2010, so we're on the last year. The contract's set to expire June 30th of this year. I had sent Mitch a contract extension proposal late last week, and I know he's out for this week, so looking forward to working with Mitch and council for another 5-year term. As you all know, we collect trash Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We did collect yard waste on Tuesdays, but we have ceased that operation as you've internalized that, and you'll see that save you some money in one of the slides going forward. Recycling within the city of Manistee, we collect curbside on the first and third Thursdays of every month. And also we provide the drop-off service located at the DPW center. We look forward to, as we work into potential contract extension, improving that operation with the DPW and the council. Recycling tonnage that we recycled in the past fiscal year, 60 tons, that was down 7% from the prior year. We had 4 less hauls on the recycle container, the commingle box, than you did in the previous fiscal year. And cardboard recycling was flat, same as prior year. As it relates to monthly tonnage, you can see the trend over the past 5 years. It was down 7 ton on a monthly basis in 14. Some of that's related to precipitation. Obviously, that makes the trash heavier, so I think that's a little bit of it. You just see a variation from year to year depending on what people put out. As it relates to cost, you see a slight reduction, $200 a month on your average cost for the month, for the 12 months running. A lot of that has to do, or the majority of it has to do with internalizing the yard waste collection and the reduction in tonnage. Moving on to the trash haul, every other year service that we provide, that did go up a little bit, but some of that is just a contract negotiated rate increase. We did have a few more hours of collection time. There was a little bit more material. So. And with that, I take any questions that you may have regarding our services.
No, thank you so much, Ron.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to concerns and comments. Citizen comment. This is an opportunity for citizens to comment on municipal services, activities, or areas of the City of Almond. Citizens in attendance shall be recognized by the mayor for comments, which are limited to 5 minutes. Letters submitted to council will not be publicly read. Is there anyone who'd like to comment? Yes, please come forward, state your name and address.
I'm Sarah Helge, 450 Cedar Street. I actually had prepared a big 5-minute speech this evening, but then I realized that most of what I was going to say has actually already been said over the past few years. So I've shortened it considerably, and I'm going to ask the City Council this evening, why are we still stuck with this same ineffectual Ramsdell governing authority? I served on the Ramsdell Strategic Planning Committee, facilitated by the Eaton Cummings Group in August of last year. Because the outcome was so positive, this group decided to continue to meet. A new mission statement and vision statement were crafted, along with a SWOT analysis and recommendations. At that time, the current governing board was listed as a threat to carrying out this mission statement. Also, in the white paper that Ed Bradford and Nancy Lyon wrote for the city in 2013, the current RGA was also considered, quote, no longer sufficient. I give the city much credit for taking the unprecedented step of hiring Executive Director Mike Terry. He's made many positive changes and has made great progress in moving the Ramsdell forward. However, he needs a supportive working board to continue to make the strides necessary that will make this historic resource a self-sustaining entity and make it even more valuable to this community. In the 17 years I've lived here, the Ramsdell has been and is still stuck with a basically dysfunctional board that not only does not move the Ramsdell forward, but keeps it stagnated in conflict and obstruction. Apparently, only the City Council can make the necessary changes to this board, and so I am asking you, why are we still stuck with this so-called governing authority, and will you do something about changing the Ramsdell governing board as it currently is, so that the Ramsdell can truly move forward?
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to comment? Yes. Please state your name and address.
I'm Rosemary Smith, West Shore Rental Management. The office is 227 Parkdale. And my son and I own the business, composed a letter, and it's about the rental program, the rental inspection program. So, can I hand them out? Sure. Okay, you want to hand them out? Okay. There's just some concern that it's not going to be continued, and I just want to stress the...
Can you please use the microphone so they can hear it? Thank you.
Thank you. We just have some concern that it may not be continued, and I just want to stress the importance of it. It has made such a difference since it started 14 years ago, and it's empowered us to be able to improve the properties with the owners. We manage like 300 properties, and sometimes they, how do I want it? The letter explains it, but what it empowers us to get the work done because we have the inspection, the city building inspection behind us. So it's something that is required. No questions asked. We got to get this done. These are the code violations or whatever needs to be fixed. If it's a broken pane in the window, smoke detectors aren't working, whatever they're supposed to be maintaining, every 3 years it gets addressed after the initial inspection. So I just would like you to think about it, and it's really important, and I really would like to see it continue. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else who'd like to comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to officials and staff. City Clerk?
Nothing, Your Honor.
The Attorney?
Nothing, Your Honor, thank you.
Finance Director?
Nothing more, Your Honor.
City Assessor?
Nothing, Your Honor.
DPW?
Nothing, Your Honor.
City Engineer?
Nothing, Your Honor, thank you.
Councilmember Zelinski?
Yes, I'd just like to thank those who got up and spoke tonight. We appreciate the information. Thank you.
Councilmember Victor?
I just got a question, it's more directed to you. On this appointment to the Housing Commission, did we do it right? Because the way I'm reading, and not that it was, if we did, it just seems like.
It was, you mean the appointment process?
Yes.
It was a mayoral appointment, and the mayor appointed the individual. The motion, I think the intent behind the motion was to confirm her appointment.
Okay, I didn't.
The information that was below was more or less for a council appointment.
It was a little confusing, the
Okay.
information after that talked about both mayoral appointments and council.
As long as you'll sign off, I'll sign off. Yes. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith?
I had addressed prior the possibility of exit interviews for employees in the city of Manistee, and I have copies of a sample that I would like to pass out to council members to review and consider, because I would like to see us move forward on that front. I'd also like to comment that while I supported the bond, it was along the same line as Councilman Zelinski. It was with great reservation, but I know it's a necessary thing to do. Other projects have been completed in the past that weren't as important or critical. And I know we're always looking for resources, and we'll continue to look for resources in order to function on infrastructure and other things that are priority to the citizens. Thank you, ma'am.
Councilmember Whittle?
The demolition of the house on Clay Street was, the total bid came in at $8,400.
I'm not sure the precise number. I didn't see that, but that sounds about right.
Question on because DTE had to get involved, cost of $740. Who is going to be paying that? And was there anything about asbestos removal included in the bid for tearing this house down?
I'm not aware of anything regarding asbestos removal as the bid that was made by the contractor. In my understanding, my limited understanding of this, is that there was charges to terminate the service of DTE that were not, neither party was aware of at the time, and I'm not sure if that is being borne by the contractor or the city, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the way the minutes read, or Mitch's update. So I'm just curious about that. If you total that up, it's going to be 9180. So, and then asbestos removal. You know, where's that fall into? Is that even brought into the equation when this house is torn down?
I'm not aware of anything about the asbestos removal.
Okay. Maybe Jeff has anything?
I'm sorry.
That process was handled by the building inspector and the city manager.
Okay.
So I had a little bit of input, but I don't know the answers to your questions. And I'm sure we can ask Mark Hansen and respond back to him.
Okay. Can we have that? I'll get over.
I'll follow up on that
Okay,
as well.
thank you. That's all. Thanks, Jeff.
Mr. Augusta? I have nothing, so I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make it.
Okay.
But I never did.